Yeah, not bad. Yourself?
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, the MG Car Club was formed in 1930, and MG started in 1924 in Oxford. We'll give you all a little leaflet later on that tells you a little bit about the history. But they were part of the Nuffield organisation. Now, you may have heard of a guy called William Morris, Lord Nuffield. He started off producing Morris cars in Oxford, and in and around 1923-24, a gentleman called Cecil Kimball went to work for Lord Nuffield, and essentially he was the one who instigated the MG brand. He was quite into racing, both cycle racing, motorboat racing cars, and you'll see upstairs we've got a picture of what's considered to be the first MG old number 1 up there. That was very much, the design of that was very much influenced by Cecil Kimball. So MG became a separate brand as part of the Nuffield organisation, and it was very successful, and successful very quickly. So they outgrew their premises in Oxford, so they moved them here to Abington. Now the factory from here, the gate that you pulled up towards, the factory went across that way. In its peak in the 70s, there were about 6,000 people working there for MG. A very happy bunch. Unlike a lot of the rest of the British motor industry, that there was a lot of turmoil. Throughout MG's history, the workers were always very passionate about the product and really into the brand that they were working with, and that sort of showed in the success of the brand. By the mid-70s, they were producing something like 75,000 cars a year in Abington. But sadly, because of politics, it all came to an end abruptly in 1980, and they pulled out of Abington, and production then shifted. A bit of it went to Cowley, which is just south of Oxford, a bit of it went to Longbridge, but it was a slippery slope really for MG for a while. Today, MG is now owned by a Chinese company, SAIC. They've started to produce new cars. At the moment, there's a couple of saloon cars. I know you've had one launched in Australia in the world. I get to travel quite a lot with my job. You talk to people, you mention MG, and somebody's either had one, owned one, their brothers, uncles, sisters have one, etc., etc. So that's just a little bit of history for you. The only real building that survives, the building just behind that gate, is the old administration block for MG, and the sign that you can see out in the car park there actually came other end of the building. You still see the 2 original lead-clad bow windows of the MG brand. In the 1930s, years with the successive changes of ownership of the brand, we've had a sort of on-off relationship. Today, we actually have quite a strong relationship. MG is reviving itself up in Longbridge. As I already said, it's owned by the Chinese. We work quite a lot with the Chinese. They support an event that we do at Silverstone each year, which is known as MG Live. It was actually called MG 90 this year because we celebrated 90 years of MG. But it's a huge event. It's the world's largest MG event, and we get 6,000 cars there, 20,000 people, and there's air displays, there's racing, it's 2 days. It's a bit like a mini Goodwood really, just for MGs. So a big event, and they recognise it as the international event for MG. So
that's all right. No problem at all. The model making side, and people think it's made out of a whole block of wood, but in actual fact it's all made up wood. You cut it all together and then stuck it all together, and then it weighs a ton, and I mean it's beautifully made. And he'd do that just from a drawing, and he'd work out the perspective and everything. He used to make all the bits out of brass and send it off to be chromed and so on. I mean, it's quite a clever guy.
Double curvatures and all that sort of stuff. I can do that.
Yeah, and these things were being thrown away. They'd just been chucked out, and he actually borrowed this one, and they closed down before he could take it back, which he was very upset about. There for the MGB rear lights and things. Not many people have seen this model, even pictured, so it's quite there for the MGB rear lights and things. not many people have seen this model, even pictured, so it's quite rare. So it's worth a great. The other models are as well. I mean, the good thing is that it's still got design centre here at
There's the Model A engine.
Somewhere along the line. They go and then you'll start.
Don't we?
We do.
That's the old factory A block over here.
It's all gone now.
If you walk all the way through it like a housing estate here and come to a main road just about there, right opposite there's a block of industrial units, and that was B block. So it's still there, but you wouldn't recognise it's anything to do with the factory. So if you want to look and see what B block looked like, you can walk through. And of course that building, I say, is being produced, some of which are being produced today, the MG6, the MG3, the